Hi there, my name is Kronenberg and welcome to my channel. This is a film review of The Undertaker. It's a horror, came out in 1988, it's an 18, it's an hour and 20 minutes. Amazon is 4.2 out of 5, IMDb is 4.9 out of 10. I'm going to read the Amazon synopsis. They're both more or less the same. A deranged Undertaker kills various people to keep as his friends in his seedy funeral home. Now the director is Frank Avianca, A-V-I-N-C-A, who didn't direct anything else, and also Steve Bono, B-O-N-O, who again didn't direct anything else. The producer was Frank again, and he produced Bloodsong, and Steve Bono again, and he produced Knife for the Ladies. Music was J. Eric Johnson, who did music for Sculptors at Storm King. Now the cast, we have Joe Spinell, S-P-I-N-E-L-L, who was Roscoe, who's in Maniac. Rebecca Varon, V-A-R-O-N, who was Pam, who was in My Hero. Patrick Askin, who is Nick, who was in A Four-Letter Word. And Susan Backley, B-A-C-H-L-I, who was Jean, who was in Troma's War. It was filmed in New Jersey in USA and New York City in, well, New York. So it starts off with a car driving down with a flat tire, right? Easily solved just by kicking it. We all know how to solve a tire that's, gone. Just kick it, it works wonders. But she ends up being picked up by a biker, which didn't end well, unfortunately. This is literally the very beginning. Credits haven't really kicked in. Music so far is kind of like the low-budget horror type killing films. We've all seen them, but I've seen loads of them, so I know what I mean. And then there's not much. We're not very far into the film. We have this stalker. We don't know who this stalker is at this point in time. Like a point of view, so we've seen it from his eyes. But all you can see is he's basically huffing away. I thought he had asthma, but I think he's supposed to be breathing. But it's not very stealthy. You can hear it. It's like, when somebody you're gaming against somebody or something, and somebody's got the microphone right next to their bloody mouth. It's like, my God, what the hell? Maybe there's some nurses and doctors out there can tell me, but can you inject somebody with a needle into their ear and knock them out? I thought you had to inject into their neck or something, but apparently if you inject it into somebody's ear, you can knock somebody out. There was a bit with the teacher who was Pam, Rebecca Varon, you can see on the image, and she's explaining necrophilia and the tribes and all that, so I actually learned something new. He learned all sorts of stuff in these films. So Nick's a young lad at college, right? So just think about it yourself. You're a young lad or girl, whatever, and you're at college. And you go home to your room. Bit of a troublemaker, but his room, floral wallpaper, bedspread. It's like, what the hell? Floral wallpaper? I know why a bit later on, because I realised why, but it was a bit bizarre at the first. I was like, what the hell? And then there's this weird satanic ritual happening. I was like, what the hell's this? Didn't make any sense the rest of the film, but then I found out why. Again, I can't really explain why, because it'll give some of the film away, but it was just like, what the hell's this? Now this is aimed at women mainly, but I suppose blokes can as well, but you're walking alone at night, you're on a path, and there's no one around, right? It's about 1 AM or 2 AM in the morning, and a car's driving about 1 mile an hour behind you. Do you just stop, look around it, or do you just carry on like it's a normal thing? I've seen this in so many films where there's a car following somebody. It could just even be a male or something, like a gangster, and there's a car driving about 1 mile an hour behind. They're not silent cars. Maybe that's a normal thing in America, I don't know, but in this country, if I had somebody driving 1 mile an hour behind me, I'd be like, what the fuck? And because it's a horror film, I see somebody trip. It wasn't the usual one either. It wasn't like they were running away from something, but it was quite interesting. And the trip was so easy. It felt they could have knocked this guy down. And then I find out that somebody says this town is dry. Apparently, it doesn't sell any alcohol. I thought, what town? What town is this? What place in the world has no alcohol? It's like prohibition or whatever it was. It's just like no alcohol. Which is weird because they go out clubbing at certain points. So it's like, well, what do they drink? Tango, or any other kind of fruity drink. So the deaths so far are kind of okay for the film. There's nothing gory. There was interesting that one poor person died by a burger in a frying pan. Now that was quite interesting. I didn't think it at first, and then it was like the image after was like, oh, okay. So obviously the main character is played by Joe Spinell. If you must have seen some of his films before. If not, then there you go. I don't think I have. I probably have actually. We've all seen Godfather and stuff like that. I think he was in Godfather one thing. Let me have a look. I picked the film that he was in was Maniac, as well known. Yeah, he was in Godfather Part 2, and he was also in Maniac and Taxi Driver and Rocky even. So he's been in a few films that we've all heard of. Now the interaction with the Undertaker and his wife Hazel is funny. So he's greeting people at a funeral, and he's all deadpan, just completely no reaction in his face or anything. Because obviously at a funeral. I think you can see on the trailer where they're just sort of standing around. And a lady appears and he says, sort of deadpan, "Sorry for your loss." And then obviously as she walks away, he goes, "She always hated the bastard." And then Hazel says, "What a sense of humour you have, Roscoe." And she goes, "I know, Hazel." And I was like, okay, and he didn't smile. It was just the way he did it. It was like, "Yeah, I know, Hazel." I thought it basically just made me chuckle because it's just so no one's smiling, and she was like, "Hey, what a lovely sense of humour you have." But she wasn't taking the mickey. She was being honest. Now, again, this is maybe an American thing, but I'm so surprised no one's had their car nicked in America. Because in films, they usually leave the car door unlocked, or in this case, it's window wide open. Window wide open, door unlocked, just goes there, don't use a key, don't use a beep beep, just literally opens the door and just goes. I mean, is this how it is in America? I mean, I don't see this much in the British films, because we're so used to crime being rampant in this country. I mean, people would say it's not, but come on. But apparently in America, you can just leave your cars unlocked. You can also leave your doors unlocked as well. I've seen that in many a film. But there you go. Obviously they've got to do that, otherwise they'd be too busy jingling around. Oh no, the only time they jingle with a key to get into the car is when they're being chased and they're like, and they're trying to get the key out and they're like, "Oh, I've dropped it." That's the only time they do lock their car door. There's a killing with a knife in the eye. Sorry about this. Obviously I'm watching a horror, so you know you're gonna get killings like this. Now I was reading a bit about it. There's two. The video itself was done by this thing called Red. Can't remember what it's called now. It was a type. The way it was done, it was originally recorded, and then it wasn't for release, and then they released it on some Red DVD or something. But the editing was a bit weird because they chopped bits out, and I understand where in certain parts. But this bit. So we've got two coppers sat in the car talking. So obviously, I'll explain about something in a minute. And you can hear a dog in the background, children, cars, you know, like that kind of thing in the background. They're talking. And then the camera pans to the other side where they're still talking. And it's just literally silence. And all you can hear is those two talking. And then the car sets off and all the noise is kicking again. So obviously what they do in films, as we all know, is they don't record them with everybody all running around outside. They record the audio of the two people and then superimpose or edit the background noises in. It's like I watched, just jumping sideways, I watched a commentary, a film commentary of a film, God knows what it was, and they were dancing in the nightclub. And so what they did is when they did the making of it, also the making of as well, is they were doing the dancing, but there was no music. And I was like, where's the music? How do they dance? And that's because I think they listen to the beginning and then they just pretend to dance. And that's so you can actually record the audio of the people talking and then put the music on afterwards. I never knew that. But then it makes sense. Otherwise it'll be like, you won't be able to hear them. And that's why they don't look like they're dancing properly when you watch the films. You know, you think they're out of rhythm, and that's why. Not all the time. Anyway, whatever. The uncle, who's obviously Joe Spinell, always sounds like he's talking through his nose, like his sinuses issues. I can't really do it, but it's like he's literally talking. You know, if you pinch your nose and you speak like you like that. I've just done that by blocking my nose. That's the thing. That's how he kind of speaks. Maybe that's how he was. I mean, unfortunately, this happened. This film came out after his death, so I think it was. In fact, I found out how he died as well. It's a very interesting way how he died. It was not. It was just pure bad luck, sadly enough. The ending wasn't what I expected at all. A fair play to the director. Cat's just been upstairs. Overall, it was okay. The killing was fine. Some editing that made some scenes just not flow, but then I found out why. Music was more suspense style. I'm actually going to give it a 4. You know, it didn't wow me in certain points, like I said, the editing and various things, but it was an interesting concept, interesting film. Not to be mistaken with the Undertaker. There's another one from 2020 something or that, but this is the 1988 one, so you know you'll know if you see him. Anyway, hopefully if you enjoyed watching, listening to this film review of The Undertaker, please subscribe to my channel. I've got plenty of the film reviews, quite a lot of followers, so hopefully there'll be something else that you'll particularly fancy. Give me the old comments and leave an old comment if you've actually watched this film before, and give me your thumbs up if you like this video. Okay, well, thank you and goodbye.